everything you've ever wanted to do is doing it.
The task of making more.
Hi everyone, this is MG, your communications coach. Today I've got something special for you. Now, this is not about promoting failure, but it is a glimpse into reality of how most of the students appear for the IELTS test without practice. So recently I worked with a very dedicated student, but because of his hectic schedule, he just took the test without practicing, though he didn't get the scores he needed. But instead of giving up, he chose to seek guidance. This video pretty much covers our journey together, where I share a lot of tips and techniques for him to crack IELTS. His major fear is the speaking section of IELTS, so I have focused more of my strategies or guidance around the speaking section. So watch this video till the end. If you're also someone struggling to crack IELTS or you don't know how to practice, maybe these tips and techniques can help you get better at your scores as well. And remember, this is a learning process. So let's learn together and let's ace IELTS together.
Hello, good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, Arnold. How are you?
I'm fine, ma'am. How are you?
I am good. Your feedback was due long time ago.
Yes, ma'am, actually. I was busy with some family functions and I wasn't in town, so.
Okay. So I know that you took the test some time ago. So did you have a chance to? So what I'm going to do in this feedback session, instead of me downloading what you should do, what you should not do, because you have already taken IELTS once, you didn't get the desired score. Now you took the mock test with us and you've scored decently, right? As compared to like extremely low scores. So if you want, you can take 1 minute or 2 minutes to reflect on what exactly are your pain points. Even if you want 5 minutes, you can take 5 minutes to prepare a set of questions that you would like to ask me. And then I'm going to help you one by one with all your difficulties. Okay. So to start with, let me give you the background that any test that you book, you will be taking listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Now, listening, reading, writing all happen at one shot, one after another. Speaking is, of course, when you go in person and speak in front of the invigilator. So now out of the 2 different times that you go for the test, okay, which one is more confusing or where you're most nervous?
So, ma'am, I have only problem in speaking, I would say. So I have kind of a phobia, let's say, one-to-one conversation, let it be an interview, anything. Even if I get prepared with everything, like let's say I'm well versed about, like I've studied everything and I'm prepared, but once I sit in front of the test taker, I actually tend to forget everything and I just go zone out. So
Yeah.
I get scared actually. So it's
Yeah,
not the
that's
first.
very natural because you're being judged and every
Yeah,
word that's coming out of your mouth is getting recorded,
yeah.
and so that happens to all of us. So if you can tell me what were your IELTS scores the first time that you took?
Yeah, just a minute. Okay, just let me. So in reading, I got 5.5, ma'am. Writing, I got 6. Speaking, I got 6. And listening, I got 6. Overall, it was a 6 band.
Okay. So now, again, see how your psychological fear is playing. You've got 6 in speaking and your lowest is in reading, but you fear speaking the most. Actually, that's with all of us, so that's okay. Alrighty. So let me give you some frameworks that will help you in your speaking test of IELTS.
Okay.
Okay, so you already know that speaking has 3 parts. Do you know what each part is all about, or you think they're just asking you random questions in any part, whatever they feel?
No, ma'am. So basically, first would be the introduction, second
Yes,
would be the cue card, and
very good.
third would be the following questions regarding the first and the cue card, second one.
Okay, so slight change. You're correct that the first one is introduction, the second is cue card, the third is an opinion-based round.
Okay.
So they do ask you 1 or 2 follow-up questions of your cue card topic, and then they dive into like a deeper realm of the topic. So if your cue card was vacation, maybe the overarching topic will be travel, tourism, and your your carbon footprint or anything wherever they think the topic can relate to. But
Okay.
mainly the purpose of the structure of the test is your first part is, you already know, it's introduction, or it is everything about you. All right, you don't have to refer to Google. There's no right or wrong answer. It's what you feel about a topic. That's just to warm your feet, and then they will give you a free speech or a cue card topic. So in the first round, where they ask you your introduction or basic questions, you need to keep it very short and simple. But when I say short, it shouldn't be just monosyllable. You need to have at least 1 or 2 sentences to give them a proper answer.
Okay.
Okay. Second is your free speech or cue card round. Ideally, it is suggested that you can weave a short story related to that topic. You should prepare a series, because if you will notice, their subtopics are very easy. They give you clues to, you should start talking on these lines. So for example, if they ask you, when was the last vacation that you took? All right, then they'll ask you, where did you take it? With whom did you go? Why did you go to that destination? And explain if this vacation was a memorable one or no. So when you get 1 minute to think about the topic, ideally you also get a pen and paper handy, right?
Yes,
So you're
ma'am.
quickly supposed to jot down main points of your storyline. Okay, think about that as main points or keywords of your storyline. Even if you answer in 1 word and you scribble it with fast pace, that's okay. So let's say if I write Goa with my friends and family for my sister's wedding, and it was memorable because of unity in the family and get together. Now I get the remaining, so I've written this in the first 20-30 seconds of the time that I've got. And now I have 30 long seconds left to think about. I can talk about how did we plan our flight tickets in a way that all the cousins meet at one airport. I can either talk about the journey, I can talk about reaching Goa and how it was chaotic to, get into our hotel rooms or reservations. Or I can talk about directly the wedding scene where, my sister was getting married or whatever. Or I can talk about my overall experience on that vacation. Now, what will happen? I have too many things to talk, and now I
Okay.
don't fear you judging me for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. My mind will be occupied in weaving my story, and what your mind will do will support you with the best possible sentence construction, vocabulary, provided you've practiced all of these things before your test. Okay, or let's say this is still an easy topic, or you get a topic as boring as fossil fuel, and what are we going to do about the natural resources getting depleted. So again, you can give your overarching view on the current situation is such, as compared to our parents' situation. They were breathing cleaner air and they had nutritious food available. However, with too much of population and over urbanization of towns, now you see I've got an entire different dynamic of the topic where I'm talking about parents and our generation. It again gives me a good meat to talk about rather than only thinking on those sub points that they have asked.
Okay.
How do you usually prepare for speaking? So what goes on in your mind during that 1 minute?
So basically, when the examiner gives me a cue card, I tend to write down the key points I would talk about. Let's say the heading of the introduction top part, kind of a thing, then the main body, and then the conclusion, kind of a thing. So I write down each and every point, and then I go point wise talking about it.
Each
So
and every point. Let me try this. I'll give you a topic and you tell me what you do so I can correct you. Okay. You were not ready for this. You thought it's just going to be one GAN session. Auntie will come and talk and then she'll go.
not an issue that I'll
See, this will help you, you know, this
yes,
is what's going to actually give you the, you know, higher band, because now if you're taking IELTS, I want you to aim at no band less than 7. So even if then I can aim for your scholarship, and we'll not face any issues with any other things, you know. Okay, let's say your topic is describe an interesting story that you heard or read about in the news. Your subtopics are when you heard or read about the story, what the story was about, why the story was in the news, and explain why you thought the story was interesting. Did you get all the questions or you want me to repeat?
I got it now.
Okay, so describe an interesting story when you heard what the story was about, why the story was in the news, and explain why you thought the story was interesting. I'll give you 1 minute to make your notes.
So,
Okay, tell me.
okay, so I heard about this story on a television news channel. Basically, it was a story about 8 family members from Delhi. So basically, the story all about was about how these family members were uh, telling each other. The host of the family was trying to tell everyone, trying to convince them that the spiritual powers, basically the black magic they believed in, was overpowered and they had to sacrifice themselves. So why it was on news, basically the news channels were trying to show people around the world that how your belief towards black magic can end your life. uh, so the family, the head of the family basically had an image that his grandfather used to come and speak to him in his sleep, saying that if you uh, give, let's say, if you sacrifice your life to the god, you might live forever. You might get place in heaven. So basically, the head of the family got uh, amused by the words that his grandfather told him in his dream. So he tried to tell each and every family member, and they made up their mind and they hanged themselves all together. So why I thought it was an interesting top, like a story kind of a thing. Basically, I thought how black magic basically ruins one's life if you take it too seriously.
Mhm. Okay, stop, pause, it's all right. So I understood where you're going wrong.
Okay.
You're going with your factual experience. Maybe you've genuinely read about this story.
Mhm.
And this story is a complex story. So, frankly, even if I am to narrate this story, and if I know the opposite person is not my friend, the opposite person is judging me and I'm getting recorded, I will also goof up. You have to, in English, it's not what you say, it's how you
How
say
you say?
it.
Okay.
Now, our mind is programmed to speak about things that we have experienced, or we must have genuinely read about that in the newspaper.
Okay.
But what if I tell you that you have to strategize this test in a way that it becomes very easy for your mind to just chill and speak. Your mind can only chill when obviously you have practiced enough and you have a variation of easier stories. Even
Okay.
if it means you want to make up
Hmm.
a story, feel free to make up a story.
Okay.
Let's say last night all you friends went out for a drive, and you want to say that came in the newspaper because my friend recently purchased a Ferrari, and in my town this is the first ever sports car version of Ferrari.
Okay.
You can mention that because you are more likely to be comfortable, or you are comfortable talking about what happened with your friends. All right, let's say you don't want to put that as a story. Cut to, you want to put something that went viral on Instagram.
Okay.
Something that's easy, something
Okay.
that's not too much of your brains on
Understood.
explaining what is black magic, what is superpower, what is
Okay.
this, what is that.
Okay.
Now, ideally, if I have time with you, let's say we are into like a 1 month intense coaching program, I will help you break down stories, exactly this story, in a way that can impress the IELTS scorecard, that can help us with a higher band. But considering we don't have that much time, I would suggest that you stick with simple stories.
Okay.
Simple is way better, it's appreciated. So don't,
So
you're
just a moment.
stressing on facts.
Okay.
Am I
So
right?
yes, ma'am. I
Yes.
just had a
Yes.
question. So basically, the examiner is marking me on the English and the English what I speak, right? Not the logic
So
behind it.
exactly. Thank you for asking this question, because this gives me an opportunity to share with you the scorecard on which you are getting checked.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So speaking has 4 parameters. Okay. All these 4 parameters are equal weightage, let's say 25% each. Okay. And if you want, you can write this down. IELTS examiners are judging you on, the first pillar is grammar.
Okay.
And in grammar, mainly tenses. And, so if you can go back and forth with past and present,
Accent. Understood.
that is how you show them your range of grammar. You want to show off. This is where all your Gucci and Prada and all of these things should come out with your words. All right.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
what is a show off for an English expert? Your vocabulary, the way you construct sentences, right? So, first things first, they are judging
Yes.
you on grammar.
Ma'am.
Second thing they're judging you on is the structure and fluency. So how will you get fluency in your speech when you use linkers like firstly, secondly, lastly, or on the one hand, on the other hand? And then you have many other words like furthermore, in addition to, however, although. So there's a huge list of linkers available on the CK drive. So whenever you get some time, access the IELTS material available on that drive. And I've made specific folders. Linkers are specific. Now, linkers help you in writing, listening, reading as well. So the second parameter they're judging you on is fluency and structure. Now, structure, you can't all of a sudden say, well, there's something in the newspaper and the head of the family was talking. I would have ideally liked a background that, there's a man who lived in Breach Candy, Mumbai, and he believed, or he used to get a vision of his grandparents. And it was his stern belief that if I keep receiving these images, I will, be in heaven very soon, even after death. So what happened is he convinced his family as well to believe the same. And he convinced them to surrender and sacrifice. And all the family obviously hung themselves to death, which is very sad, and which is a way of believing that how sometimes our own faith can act against us, because I'm sure, but this is a very sensitive topic, it's got you may want to avoid a complex topic that has a fabric of religion, faith, and all of this, which is why stay away, because this is not a friendly conversation. If it is in a personal circle, fine. But this is an IELTS test. You want to keep it light. You don't want to keep thinking about, oh God, now what do I say? Where am I goofing up? What if I use a wrong word? What if I offend someone? Better to stay away from religious topics or anything faith-based. So you have fluency and structure. The third thing they're judging you on is lexical resource. Again, a complex word for a simple concept of domain-specific vocabulary. So if you're talking about news, you can say, well, the article was published by this, or I read this in Times of India, and the journalist had written this, because now if you're using journalist will write or report. So instead of saying it was written, now you've used journalist, you've used Times of India. What am I doing? Topic specific vocabulary. News channel, anything related to news, I'm putting the names of the media and the journalist. So now if I'm intentionally using the right vocabulary, my band is going up. My scores are going up. And lastly, they judge you on pronunciation. So even if it means that, see, you're a very soft-spoken person, you're not someone who's aggressive. You will not speak if you're not spoken to. This is what I've sensed even in our previous conversations. You're very sensitive. So your character or your nature, sometimes you have to go out of your comfort zone in IELTS. You have to behave as if you're acting, or you're enacting a character, because you're performing for the recorder. The opposite person doesn't get to judge you. What you and I are speaking gets recorded, and the recording goes to a center, and then probably a third person reviews and listens to the whole conversation and then gives you a band, which means stop bothering about what the opposite person is doing. Now, if I'm an invigilator, I can trick you into my facial expressions looking bored, or I'm sleepy, or I'm yawning, or I'm making notes and I raise my eyebrows. So you're like, oh, shoot, did I make a mistake?
Actually, that happened with me last time.
God bless you. So they are just playing a role of an invigilator. Why am I calling them an invigilator? They don't have the rights to judge you on your band. Why? Because if I judge you, I can have a bias of, you're from Mumbai, or you wore this t-shirt, or I didn't like the way you were sitting, or I didn't like your attitude. How will IELTS remain the most trusted test? It's the most trusted test of the government. They will maintain confidentiality, they will maintain highest standards of correction as well. So the invigilator is just conducting the test. Nowhere it says that they will be rating you.
Okay.
So you're not performing for the opposite person. Stop looking at them, because the more you look at them, the more nervous you can get. This has happened to me as well. So
Yeah.
I'm performing for the recorder. Now, if I'm performing for the recorder, I'm automatically focusing on the quality of my voice. Even if it means I'm opening my mouth and I'm shouting, not shouting literally, but I'm on a higher pitch than your regular conversation, you will score higher. Always remember, you're going to play a video game. And in video game, we all know those characters are fake. It's at the end of the day, a character inside a game, and you're, whatever is the task given to you, but you get involved, correct? You go all after that character, and you want that character to win and go to the last post, or whatever is the task assigned in the game. The same thing, IELTS, your task is, there are 4 pillars: grammar, fluency, vocabulary, pronunciation. How I can be so confident, and if I regularly practice, so I don't want to focus on what I'm saying. Because if I keep my topics complex, my mind will be only busy simplifying the complex topic. So my mind will never get a chance to focus on vocabulary. My mind doesn't get a chance to inject linkers. See, you and I don't speak very intentionally with linkers. We will either say something, and we have very easy linkers like and, so, because. These were 3 things that we kept on repeating, and we repeat till date. But we don't know things like in addition, furthermore, even though, however, although, on the one hand, on the other hand, firstly, secondly, lastly. So what does a smart IELTS taker, what will they do? They will make sure they inject all these things in their sentences. Even if it means they'll take like 1 or 2 seconds of silence to structure their thought process. Ideally, what we do, the minute we are asked a question, we immediately like to answer it. And this is something that I learned in my coaching days when, I used to work for JP Morgan, and even I used to get scared if I was asked a question. And especially if you're a communication coach, you know that whatever is coming out of your mouth, everybody is judging. Okay, so initially, when I had just been promoted, I used to immediately answer the question without thinking much, because I thought, if I think about the question, people will think I am dumb. So we rattle off information. Whereas what was taught to me was, if you want to be a good communicator, fall in love with silence. Which means if I am thinking about a question, I'm not unnecessarily going to speak. So that's the difference. Even in part 3, if you want to take a minute or 30 seconds, 10 seconds pause, feel free to let your brain think. Because now you've told your brain that, listen, we want to win on these 4 parameters. So help me with the solution. So all your solution is already there. Your brain knows grammar, your brain knows vocabulary, your brain knows linkers. You just need to allow it to breathe and then support you with the right sentence construction. And this is not going to happen overnight, which is why one of the easiest solution that I can give to you to improve your speaking is, again, go back to the CK drive, open the speaking folder. There are many PDFs, and rightly, by all what I have found is good available on the internet. You can read some of those sample answers. The more answers you read, the better your mind will build a pattern that I can also speak all these things.
Okay, so it's this drive is available online on your site or
Yes, you have access to it. I will share at the end of this session.
okay, ma'am.
It is included in your membership also. So you can open the speaking folder and you can go and read those sample answers. What are the other students writing? What are the other students? What are the potential answers they are giving? And these are all written by ex-IELTS examiners or band 8 answer samples. So you want to pick up a pattern. You don't want to create something original. If you're creating something, we're not getting marks for anything here. So instead of focusing on, but no, my idea, what most of us do is, my idea should be original or my answer should be out of the box. So then your mind is busy thinking here and there, right? That, okay, now what is a new idea I have to bring forward? But the opposite person is not your math teacher. The opposite person is not judging your geography, your science, your history, or whatever they are asking you. They are judging you on 4 things and 4 things only. They're not judging you on your eye contact. They're not judging you on your handwriting. They're not judging you on how you're sitting on the chair or what did you wear. Okay, which means in the first part, you keep your answers very simple, light, casual, have a bit of fun. If you think that that's a question I have never thought of, but now that you're asking me, I think I prefer listening to music, while I'm working out or when I'm heading towards my work. Whatever is the reality, you want to add that with your casual tone of, that's an interesting question, or I haven't thought of this, but now that you ask me, that's one way. Then the other way will be, are you there? Or I think I can't. Did you lose the network? Yeah, you're back.
Uh,
So whatever are the questions, whatever is casual, you should answer casually in the first part.
okay.
Second part, try to narrate a story. So you can say, well, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak on the news that I've read. Frankly, I don't read newspapers. Now in the age of Instagram and LinkedIn, I barely get the time to read any newspaper. But I do remember last week, I was stuck on a train on my way to work. And that's when my battery had died off. And the person sitting next to me was reading a newspaper, and I got intrigued. And I was amazed to see that he carried more than 4 to 5 newspapers with him. So what I did is I borrowed one of the newspapers to pass my time on the commute. And that's when I read a so now you see how I've bought time into coming to the newspaper itself. Okay, so I have already 10-20 seconds into my story. Okay, plus I get points because I'm talking as if, well, I'm excited to talk about this, which will be reflected in my tone eventually on the recording. So whoever is listening to me will give me a higher band. Okay, and then you talk about, I read an interesting article on how India landed on the moon in the lowest budget. Can you believe our budget was lowest than the latest Hollywood movie that was filmed? And you can talk anything under that realm. Again, you don't have to talk scientifically of how we went there, but we can talk about anything and everything under the sun. This is the beauty of IELTS. Okay, so second is try to have a story, try to have a background to the story. That, okay, listen, I don't read a lot of newspaper, but now that you're asking me, this is an interesting topic. I do remember that last week I was on a train stuck on my way. My battery has conked off, and I did read a very interesting article. And it was about my friend that had opened a restaurant, and he has named the restaurant, after his favorite Bollywood actor. And the entire theme was around, you can create anything that you are comfortable talking.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you? And does that release pressure that I have to be right also. Ye newspaper, they're not going to check whether this was, you genuinely, I remember reading this kind of news. So you've literally given me
Actually,
a fact. If you're giving me a fact, your brain will be like, boss, we don't
yeah.
speak like this on a regular basis. So let me also understand how we are going to talk. And then your brain's like, listen, the fact that we spoke about that topic, I think we've done a fantastic job.
So the time you gave me the topic, that
That's the first,
just interlinked.
because we are programmed to think on facts. Ever since we were in school, our imagination was shut off. Anything that we went outside the box, we were like, no, you can't do that. Or if we were, then our science and geography and whatever projects we had, everybody had the pressure of mine has to be very different. Have you realized that? So we are programmed to think a certain way, that if you're asking me a question, it better not be fun. It better not be expressive, because all that we speak at home with our friends and family. But you're my IELTS invigilator, so I have to put up my serious show of, it's not an interview.
Thank you.
It's a casual, semi-casual conversation. I'm not saying casual also, because this can imply a lot of other things, but a semi-casual conversation. So the best way to think of it is, imagine you are on a plane with somebody from another country, and both of you are joining the same university for the same course. What will be the interlink or overlapping questions? Will they not ask you things like, so how do you usually spend your weekends back in your country? What kind of food do you guys get in your country? Or what are the fun places to visit? How does your hometown look like? What kind of apartments are there? Right? And if you're
Yes.
going on a deeper level of conversation, you might be talking about transportation issues. You might be talking about how we are now going to get led by AI. So IELTS is just checking your overall ability to converse on these topics, which is why they have a variation of topics. First is casual. It's everything about you. Second is, if you were given to speak for 1-2 minutes, can you sustain that conversation or topic? And last is your opinion. So they'll ask you a lot of, what do you think? What is your opinion on this? You know, do you think this one is better or that, and why? So they'll draw that comparison. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, ma'am. Understood.
Okay. So, and your last part, it's, so your first part is keep it simple, keep it short, keep it casual. Second one is try to narrate a story. Third one is, there's a simple framework which you can use even in your writing. So if I'm asking you any question in part 3, you'll divide it into 4 steps. Step number 1 is immediately answer the question. When I say immediately, even if you want to take 1 second, 10 seconds pause and then answer, it's fine. So step 1 is answer the question. Step 2 is explain why your answer is what it is. Step 3 is give an example, data, statistics related to that topic if you can. That is just an add-on in speaking. But in writing, this is a mandatory step. You have to give an example. And last is, you will close your answer with words like hence, thus, or therefore. I'll give you a live example for this. Let me pull up the same test from where I gave you part 2 topic. So let's say the next question, which is part 3, tells me, when do people like to read the newspaper? That's the question. And this is part 3. Now I will answer, well, I think so. The question is, when do people read the newspaper? So I will answer, well, that's a pretty subjective answer, only because people will read the newspaper as and when they get some time. If I'm not mistaken, some people prefer reading a newspaper the first thing in the morning. Whereas I've seen a larger chunk of the population reading newspaper on their way to work because they're stuck on commute and they feel that's a better way of feeding their brain. So again, I feel this is very subjective and it totally depends on the time they have. I've given the answer. I've explained why my answer is. I didn't give an example because the topic is very basic. And then I said, so that's why I think it's subjective. Did you understand how I am breaking it into 4 steps? Answer, explain, share an example, and close my answer. Let me check one more question, which is the last question. Will internet news ever replace newspapers? Why and why not? All right. I will say, well, I think that's already happening, considering that most of the leading newspapers now have a subscription-based model on the website. It clearly tells us that we are going heavy on the digital consumption. And very soon, in order to also save paper and all the hassle of logistics, we will prefer to read news off our tablets and devices. So which is why I think, yes, eventually we will be replacing the newspaper. Clear, crisp, and I've used all the vocabulary that I could think of. In digital era, we are going heavy on digital, we are doing this. This is simple, which even you will be able to speak. And maybe you think, oh, this is not simple for me, but try reading the speaking PDFs. Give 10 minutes, 15 minutes every day to read what are band 8 and band 9 students answering. Open your mind to simple strategies. Instead of, so if you're going to only work on what's going on your mind, you're never learning from somebody, and language is influenced by others. So just before your IELTS test, try to cut down on your any other content that you're watching which is not in English. Even if you want to watch a movie, watch in English. If you're reading a newspaper, if you're reading, I would suggest read articles on LinkedIn. Even if you don't want to go anywhere else, I would say IELTS has got such a vast examples given on the internet. If you don't want to go on the internet, you can go on the CK Drive, pick up any PDF, and that will have something for you to take away. And when you're reading, don't just blindly read the answer. Actively get involved. What is the linker they used? What is the vocabulary they are using? The minute you register this or you replay that, oh, that's a nice linker, in addition to, furthermore, your mind will pick up, no problem, we'll use it next time. Because it's all the solution is already in your mind. Your mind just doesn't know, are we doing this, or you're just going to tell me to focus on simplifying complex topics. Because in all other rooms, all that you're doing is, if you're talking basics, you're like just out of the room. You have to sound intelligent, especially in your office, whatever. Even if you don't know, so you're under the pressure of, I need to know a lot. No, you don't need to know a lot. Let's work with what you already have. Simple. So English, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So where other students are focusing on what, you will be focusing on how. And when I say how, which means you'll be focusing on linkers. You'll be focusing on choice of words. You'll be focusing on intentionally comparing things in the past and present, because you will tell the examiner, I'm too good in my grammar. And you are. I've read your writing, or whenever you're speaking to me, I don't think English is a problem for you.
It's not a problem. The only first thing I told you that I get nervous. Actually, that's the only problem with me.
See, now nervousness, you can only beat nervousness with practice. And I've told you, don't look at the invigilator, try to look at the recorder, or try to be in your world. And your nervousness can only come, your solution is practice.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, what will happen? If you are nervous, you're anyway goofing up and getting lesser scores. You might as well go with, I don't care what you think, but I am going to give my jolly best on this test. And
Actually,
let's
the
say you goof up. Now, what happens? Your mind replays that, oh, shoot, I goofed up on the previous question. But IELTS keeps giving you chance. If your part 1 didn't go well, try part 2. If your part 2 didn't go well, try part 3. Till the last question, you have a chance to recover and win the game.
Actually, even when I applied for my first test, I didn't practice so much. I just watched YouTube videos. I used the IELTS, the book which they gave. So I basically used that, and I just sat for the exams. And I
Yeah,
think
see,
without
you didn't
anything,
take the mock test. This was available on your membership, which is why I was very pissed off. And I told Ritu also to ask you, why have you not? And I think I forced you to take the mock test. And otherwise you would not be taking this time also. You just in the first time, I told you I'm an IELTS expert. I'll be your admission counselor second, but please use the resources, use everything that is available. Even this feedback session, it's an earned feedback session included in your membership, right? And many people, they don't fail because they don't know English, but they fail because what comes on the real paper, they don't expect that. They think, yeah, it's just easy. I mean, how difficult can it get? IELTS is not difficult, but it has a high standard of correction. And rightly so, right? You all are going for studies abroad. How are you going to cope with those difficult curriculum if you're struggling to speak now? Okay. So don't be nervous. I genuinely think you, out of all the students, there are students where I tell them, you better be nervous because, so different feedback for different students. I feel the more you have that, I'm going to give my best. I don't care what you think of me. I don't care what notes you're making. I will keep trying. And I'll give you one more thing. Even if you're nervous and you lose your chain of thoughts, you can always say, please excuse me. I'm so sorry. I'm extremely nervous. Let me rephrase this. Give me a second, please. The fact that you're trying, the fact that you did say, I'm so sorry, I'm very nervous. See, they all understand it's a test. They are not devils there. They give you a benefit of doubt. But what will happen in that nervousness? You'll go blank. Now that if you go blank, he's not even trying. Which is what you did in your mock test in part 2. You just gave up, said, okay, I'm done. So keep trying. Say, I'm so sorry. I lost the chain of my thoughts. Let me retry. But make sure you don't keep saying this 5-6 times, then they know you're playing around, but use it when you think, now I need, to get out of this situation. Does that help you?
so yes, ma'am. But does it reduce the scoring level or?
No, again, you're getting judged on your overall speaking.
Okay.
Every question is a new opportunity for you to win your points. This is not a math exam ki 4 questions wrong gaye to beta forget it, you're failing. This is your overall performance is judged, your overall grammar, fluency, vocabulary, and pronunciation.
So the first time when I gave exams, she gave me a topic to explain in a cue card where the place which I visited, why it was crowded, and why do people usually come there. So I spoke about a place recently I visited with my family. So then I spoke about it. Then later part, I saw her writing something on the paper. Actually, I was talking about it, and all of a sudden, I saw on a paper. So she was writing something, and I saw some four kind of a thing, and I was so nervous. I was like, I'm gone now. It's over.
So this is what happens, right? They are made to trick you. If you're getting tricked, too bad for you. Because tomorrow you're giving a university presentation, there'll be 50 people in that room and 50 people will be making 50 different faces. You need to remember that you're performing for the recorder. And which is why I'm mentioning this. See, your mind will say, what is she writing? And the worst is in school, we've got a habit of peeping through the notes also, which is actually considered rude when you go overseas. But for us, it's like, no, we need to know. We are so hyper, we need to know how we are scoring. And in India, I think we take everything very seriously when it comes to a test, when it comes to what are you writing. And if it is meant for you, they will show you that this is what I want you to know that you've scored. This is not meant for you. For all you know, maybe she's writing 4 for the next roll call. I don't care. You never know, right? What if, and you are performing for the recorder. If you're constantly, what I feel is give your best. Is this your best where you're like, oh, I'm gone? No, right?
No, no.
If you give your mind a chance that we are not giving up, come what may. Let's say I've goofed up completely. I've made many grammatical errors. I can stop and say, I have goofed up. I am so sorry. This is just happening because I'm so nervous. Please give me a chance to rephrase this. What I meant was blah, blah, blah. I guarantee you they will give you a benefit of doubt. But keep the 4 things on the forefront, that I want to be good at grammar, good at fluency, good at vocabulary, and good at pronunciation. For your voice, you may have to speak at a higher pitch to increase your clarity. And the higher and the clearer your words, the higher the band. So make sure you're clear, make sure you're opening your mouth and speaking. Get in the habit of doing that, so that there is clarity and people appreciate you for, okay, this guy knows how to speak in English, he's so fluent, and automatically you will get a band 7 and above. Okay. Now let's cut to, I think I gave you a good speaking lesson, almost as good as what I help in the coaching also. If I cut to your reading, okay, your reading or listening, okay, always remember IELTS is not so much of an English test, but it is a lot to do with synonyms. So if you underline keywords in the question, you will notice that there is usually a corresponding synonym in the passage. So I think where you goofed up, and in reading, academic time management is extremely important. You will be given very lengthy passages. So you know the concept of skimming, scanning, and close reading?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the first thing what you do is read just the introduction, the first and the last sentence of all body paragraphs, and the conclusion. At least you know, okay, what is this passage about? And then when you're reading the question, make sure you underline the keywords and then try to find the corresponding synonyms in the passage. Now, something that you should know is reading is divided into in order questions and not in order questions. Are you aware of this?
No, I just knew that the questions.
This will change your entire performance. So there are 2 sets, in order questions and not in order questions. So if it is in order questions, which means what? If my first question is from the first paragraph, first sentence, all my remaining questions will follow the order. Correct? So your in order questions are all your questions except the matching ones. The most difficult ones are the match the information or match the paragraphs. All of that you do later. You first do all your fill in the blanks. You first do all your true false not given, because all these questions are in order. What will happen in order? The minute you have one answer, you have all the remaining answers and you have them at a faster pace. So it's like a video game. The minute your timer starts of 1 hour, your attempt or your focus should be, I want to finish all the in order questions in the first 35 minutes. Overall, I'll just skim, scan. Because it's in order, I'll start getting help also, that where those passages are located, where those sentences are located. And then last, you can give time to not in order questions. What happens is because all your question types are jumbled up, we waste time on matching, we take more time, and then we get even in order wrong, and we get not in order also wrong. So which is why you've got a 5.5.
Actually, ma'am, when I was giving my exams, so basically it was a thick booklet, and the time I was looking at the question and searching for the answer, I forgot the question what it was.
See,
So
which is why I recommend a computer-based test. Why? Because you can see now on your screen, I don't know what you can see, but I can see both of us. Because I've given a gallery view to my Zoom, the same thing happens on your computer based. One way you have the passage, the other way you have the questions. So you can correlate. What happens when I'm twisting and flipping the page, because our memory, our attention span is anyway reducing. We are now on 9 seconds. Initially, when I was in school, we were on 20 seconds. Now it's reduced to 9 seconds, which means our brain flips, and we're anyway used to 30-second reel or 60-second reel or whatever. So your mind is programmed that way. So if you flip the paper, try a computer-based test.
I
This
have
could,
I have actually tried the site which you gave. I tried.
and you scored well.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I found it like convenient
Easy.
for, yeah, easy it was.
Yes.
Basically, the passage is here and the
Yes.
question is here. So you can just scroll up and
You
down.
can scroll up and down, and your attention is also like, okay, yeah, this I'm seeing yours, so this is the answer. What happens in the page now, what is there at the back is gone in my mind.
And
Because see, in school and all, when we are relaxed, we didn't have too much pressure. Now, as the day is going by, we have too much pressure. We have to do too many things. So even that flipping, you may think she's wrong, or how does that make a difference? But trust me, the only thing I've recommended to some students is try flipping from paper to computer, and they have scored the marks that they wanted, just with that simple switch, without doing any other improvement in their practice. Of course, they became more cautious because the first time they must have taken the test for granted, just like you did.
yeah, actually, ma'am, the first time when I gave the reading test,
Yes.
basically, I could not complete it on time. So when the timer I had at least, I guess, 5 to 10 minutes left. That time
Yes.
I was between second paragraph. I was just completing it. Then I hardly had time. So I just went through whatever I thought it was correct. I just put in the answer and I left it.
Yeah, so see, you're very close. Still, if I feel you had that performance and you've scored a 5.5, which is good. Now, with a little bit of practice, I think I saw your mock result. You're already a 7 band in reading. So imagine if you go with more practice that, okay, listen, everything else is in order and your matching is not in order. So let me do matching a little later, and focus on synonyms. So what I want you to do is pick up a Cambridge book again on the CK drive. So you better take access to the CK drive, and you open a Cambridge book. Let's say you just read that first paper, just underline the words and in the questions, whatever synonyms you could find. Play a test that, okay, my only job is finding the synonyms. So if it is education, maybe they will write, learning curriculum, or if it is school, they will write institution. So the minute you're getting better at synonyms, I guarantee you'll get better in listening and reading. And even in speaking, let's say the examiner is asking you a question, you'll be able to rephrase it very well. And synonyms, so I consider IELTS to be a synonym test. And the logic I found for myself, I don't know if it will work for you, but what I explained to myself is, when we are going overseas, those guys are going to use their own vocabulary, whether they call it a cafe or a lounge or a coffee shop. You going to keep asking them, well, back home we don't call it a gas station, we call it a petrol pump, or why is it a turnaround, or an about turn? In our country, it's a U-turn. So all these are very small things, but they make a huge impact in your day-to-day living. So what IELTS is trying to do is, okay, we know you know how to speak in English because your 10th, 12th, graduation, everything is there. But are you good with synonyms? And if you notice your English movies also, their vocabulary is very refined. You and I may not be able to express ourselves with those words. And again, that's also because that's the only language they know. We have like every new, 10 miles is a new language, new, culture, dialect, or whatever. And whenever we were experimenting with vocabulary, mainly we focused on, isse kaam chal raha hai, right? Let's go ahead. So, and because, done, these were the linkers. And now this is a linker pretty much a majority of us are using. So the minute we switch and we speak to a native English speaker, well, heck, they have good expanse of vocabulary. They have different choice of words. So IELTS is trying to, again, level the field. So if you focus on synonyms, don't understand what's in the passage. Are you understanding? No, right? Because in the mock test, you've scored 7, which means I know you're doing cut short, cut to, whatever is the questions. That is what you're supposed to do. Because all they want to see is if you're given a lease agreement, if you're giving your immigration paperwork, whatever, are you able to understand everything? Or you're going to sit and keep calling the customer care and saying, what is this and what is that? Does that make sense? So your reading skills you have to be good with skimming. Skimming is an overview of the information. Then scanning is asking you specific questions. Then you're supposed to know, okay, the specific question about the passport is in paragraph 2 because they'll give you a heading passport. Okay, so that is scanning. And then is close reading. They might trick you with grammar. Let's say the question is, where was the house located? That is past tense. And maybe in the passage it's written the house is located here. But previously it was located there. The minute you've seen location, the house is here. But you forgot that, okay, the question was. Grammar, tenses, very important. Past, present, future, very important. So try to focus for these tricks and don't fall for these tricks. You should know this is IELTS, they're judging me and they'll trick me with synonyms, they'll trick me with tenses. I need to be sharp-minded and I need to call out the BS and say, no, I know what you are tricking me for. So be very careful. Your attention should be on the question that you are solving. It shouldn't be on the next or any other question.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions that you have? I would say please practice more. Don't take it at least before the test. Whenever you're taking the test, at least do 4 or 5 mocks. And even for writing, I know you got a 6. Please go and, go on Google and type band 7 writing. Observe what those people are writing, whether it is task 1 or task 2.
Okay.
And I think your writing is good. You need to refine it with better vocabulary. You need to define it with more linkers. Okay. These 2 things I'll say think and improve, because your writing can easily go up to 7 with just these 2 improvements. Good vocabulary. So learn topic specific vocabulary. If it is transport, education, travel, whatever, so what are those vocabulary that you can learn and improve your linkers whenever you're writing. In task 1, it's very important, how do you define trends, whether it's an upward trend or a downward trend. How do you define numbers? What are the ways you can present different set of data? So again, go on CK Drive. There's a lot of task 1 PDF available. Again, in the folder, writing task 1. Again, there's another folder, writing task 2. So just go through it. Don't get overwhelmed with the number of PDFs that are there. You can just pick up, give it 5 minutes. Are you enjoying the content? If no, close that PDF, go to the next one. Because I've kept something for everyone. And why so many PDFs? Again, because some students have this habit, right? That, oh, my other friend got this in their coaching. We are not getting this material here. Some people have that habit of collating a lot of data, like they just feel safe. So I'm like, okay, there's everything for everyone on the CK Drive. It's just that even if you master 1 or 2 and you're learning actively from 1 or 2, it is more than enough. Okay.
Okay.
Any other question that you have for IELTS?
So it's not related to my test, but recently, ma'am, I saw it on IDP site basically. So they are saying the six band actually, like in six band you can apply for the colleges, and
Yes, you can, but you have 5.5 in reading. Ideally, if you see you have overall 6, so your options will be limited.
limited. Okay.
I don't want to limit your options, especially when you're applying for a May intake. We have time.
Yeah, that's what even I saw on, I checked the Fanshawe College site. I saw their programs and uh, the band score they need. So basically in the graduation programs, and they need a 6.5 overall and minimum 6 in each and
Yes.
every branch.
Minimum 6 and overall
Overall
6.5
6.5.
is an acceptable score. So what really goofed up or where we got messed up is your reading 5.5. Even if that would be a 6 and your overall would be 6, you will still get, okay, let's try. But I would say, why do we risk your admission just for a small thing like this? And it's not that you cannot clear it. And now I think they are even accepting PTE. PTE is an easier version of IELTS, but since you've already taken IELTS once, continue taking it because you're very close to the finish line. You will be surprised, or I wouldn't be surprised if you get a 7. And if you get a 7, you never know, you might get scholarship, even if it is $500 or 1,000 or whatever. I have noticed if you have good IELTS score, number one, our option list increases because I think Humber and all have no band less than 7. So our options increase. We are safe for the visa. We don't have to sit and explain, please, but our student is good, and we don't do the pleading then. Our scores are good enough. It opens the doors for other things. And anyway, all of you take the test and pay the same price, right? Why do we take this test for granted? Ki we can do it. It's fine. Practiced at least for 2-3 days. Most of the students are just going, it's English, we'll do it. And then they realize, oh shoot, now that's another 16,000. We could have gone shopping for that money, right? Think about it. It's a good amount to shop.
I know.
But these are all silly mistakes. And especially when you're going for immigration, you're going for study permit, I want your standards to be very high. I don't care about other people, however they want to go. Like for them, just going there is a big deal. I don't think. See, your parents are investing a good amount of money, and this money is for your future. So if you go with high standard, that if I'm doing admission, I need to see which course is going to help me learn something that I can show to my next employer. And if I'm doing the visa process, if I'm doing my course, I want to find out the curriculum. I want to see how much money is going, what is my living expenses. And then if I go there, I want to set up, okay, what kind of jobs are available? And just your consultant may or may not tell you. See, at the end of the day, outside, at least I know they work on very harsh targets. They don't care where you're going. They care for that one admission offer letter and one visa stamp. Done. That's how they make their money, right? But if you're not going to have higher standards, you're always going to be busy. But this is your future, right? Your current job, take a leave. I don't care, because this is temporary life. I know you'll cut or have a pay cut for that one day, but that one day is helping you score better on IELTS. Do that.
Okay, but say like I have already 2 months gap in my job, right? Currently
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter, right?
See, for study visa gaps and all, unless it's 5-6 years gap,
Okay.
Somebody is really, has a lot of explanation. Still, we've given them visas.
Okay.
So 2 months gap, it's okay. We can explain that you were preparing for the test, or we'll do all of that for you in your SOP. We don't have to worry. But what I want to do is, I don't want to get to hear that, no, he has to retake IELTS.
Okay. Understood.
Which I was like, why didn't you utilize this on your membership? Why are you a member with CK? You definitely paid for it, and you better get the value of it. So your mock test is there, and I hope this training helps you to practice. This breaks down a lot of your myth that, oh, she's written something. It doesn't mean anything for your life. I'll tell you when something means, and you're performing for the recorder and you're performing for the 4 parameters. And the same 4 parameters are in writing. The only small changes, instead of pronunciation, they check task achievement. Have you answered the question? So make sure you read band 7 and 8 samples of writing. Make sure you practice, and you let us know whenever you're booking the test.
So, so when should I book? Like, let's say I'm getting a computer based, so I check the site. They have
Yeah.
various
Computer will always be available.
available. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So it's available till 31st, I think so. So
Yes.
you want me to give it in the end of the month, or so I
See,
can
it
practice so
depends
much?
on you. If you practice sincerely, if you're practicing one paper every day, if one paper is too much because you have to sit for 4 hours or 3 hours, even if you're doing 2 papers or 3 papers a week, you can check your confidence level, because you might be ready within a week, you might be ready within 2 weeks. And you're not doing anything as of now, right? You've quit your job.
Yeah, I was on contract basis basically, so I finished my contract.
So you're at
Currently
home.
yeah, I'm currently at home.
If you're at home the whole day, ideally what I would suggest is check your computer dates. Mainly there's a test available morning slot or afternoon slot. Okay. See which one are you more inclined towards. If you're taking a 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., then every day your routine should be to do a test from 9 a.m. You program your mind that this is my time to focus on IELTS.
Okay, understood.
And then in the second half, you can take a lunch break, you can sleep for some time, or you can do whatever you want. In the second half, you can read samples of writing, you can see samples of PDF, you can increase your vocabulary and synonym, and again the next day check.
Understood.
And you might need my help for one more time, which is for your speaking and writing. So this is your way forward. From tomorrow, you start taking one IELTS test every day. This week, you do 2 or 3 tests max. Don't do every day. Let's say you take a gap and you do it. You submit all your writing to me by Sunday. Okay, by Sunday, 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. IST. You say, I have done 3 papers. All these 3 writing have been emailed to you. Okay, what I'll do Monday is I'll get some time to either do your mock. We'll do speaking mocks. So one after another, I'll do 3-4 speaking mocks, and that will be on the phone itself. Okay. And then Monday, again on the phone, I will be giving you feedback that your writing needs to improve here. Your speaking has improved, has not improved. So that is what we'll do for your writing and speaking. And for your listening and reading, check your answers. And after you've checked your answers, only go back to all the wrong answers. And for your wrong answers, ask yourself 3 questions. What synonym did I miss? Or which synonym did it not click my mind when solving? What was a grammar trick these guys played? Or if I ignored any instruction? 99% your answer will be wrong only because of these 3 reasons. Either you didn't pay attention to the instruction, which means if they are writing no more than 1 word, 2 words, and you've written 3 words, or your grammar got tricked, either past, present got messed up, or something in grammar got messed up, singular, plural, or something. And lastly, you didn't understand the synonym of a word. So or you were too late to register that, whatever.
So basically, I noticed one thing where I'm losing my marks. So basically, let's say they tell some fees like 10 pounds. So I end up writing 10 pound. S I just forget. So I lose on marks there.
Yes, singular, plural, correct. Plural, listening, yeah. That is more in listening, because it is what you listen. It's not what you're understanding. So these are silly mistakes which you can easily work on. Which is why I said grammar or synonym or instruction. Only focus on these 3 things. Okay. So you do this and submit your writings by Sunday, 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Keep in touch on WhatsApp. And I'm hoping I'll speak to you on Monday then. Okay.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Okay. You take care.
You
Bye.
too, ma'am. Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. That brings us to the end of the video. If you found these tips and strategies helpful, do consider sharing them with your friends. Remember, we all are in this journey together. Do consider hitting the subscribe and like button for more such valuable content coming your way. I hope that I helped you in some way to crack IELTS and make it easier for you. That's the whole intention of making such videos. And I thank you so much for your time and attention today.
Finding something you
That
love.
brings us to the end of the video.
What is freedom?